Welcome back, everybody. This is the Good Old Hockey Podcast. Galli, it's been a minute since you and I have sat down together and talked about hockey. We did some pre-recorded stuff before Christmas. I hope everyone had a great New Year. If you didn't catch last week's interview with Tony, I suggest you go watch that. It's a great interview with a great guy. But guess what? It's time. We're at the halfway point, the NHL season, Galli. But before we get into that, let's talk to each other. Give the fans, listeners, a little recap of how we've been over the last couple weeks. You start.
Yeah, man. I've been good. Been skiing. Skiing's been good the past week, and playing hockey here and there, and freezing my ass off. It's pretty. This is like the coldest I've seen it get in Boise, and also the most snow I've seen in Boise. It's supposed to snow again tonight, but. Yeah, man, I've been chilling. I played hockey this weekend, went skiing on Thursday night. So a really kick-ass day on Thursday to go skiing. But, yeah, man, it's been a good start to 2024. Really ready to hit the ground running with the pod this year, and lots of juicy stuff upcoming, interviews, all sorts of stuff. So excited to share that with you listeners out there. But how have you been, Sean?
I've been pretty good. Let's see. I had a good New Year's, watched the Winter Classic. It was such a good game. I know Seattle won. Good for them for winning at home, honestly. But the spectacle in of itself. Yeah, you did. I think I said the Knights, so I got cucked on that. But, same here. I've been a good start to 2024. I hope we've got some fun stuff planned in the future that we'll get into at a later date. But, yeah, we're ready to hit the ground running with 2024 and get some new stuff, get some good content for you guys. If any of you, before I want to mention this, we just started putting together kind of a new Spotify platform, or I guess how you guys listen to this stuff. If you're listening to this now, you're on our new Spotify page. If you're watching this on YouTube, hi. But go check out our Spotify. Go follow us on there. Apple Podcasts. It's also on Amazon Music as well. But we have our own page. So all the shows are going to have their own page. And
I forgot to mention too. Forgot to mention too. Watched a lot of World Juniors. World Junior Championships. It was fire. I also went to a Ducks Flames game. That was awesome. Flames won 3-0 in Anaheim. First time being in Anaheim. There's surprisingly a lot of people there. I think it was because it was right before Christmas, but that was awesome to see the Flames get that 3-0 dub in the pond. But World Junior Championships was kick-ass. It was very surprising to see how early Canada exited, but I know. It's awesome. Awesome to see U.S. take the gold, and shit, dude, my group predictions were fantastic. If anyone wants to see that, I got like two teams wrong out of the group play, and I did get the winner right. So
you did, and you had the top four right too.
Yeah, I don't think I had Canada necessarily.
That's right.
In the top four, I think Slovakia didn't make it either, but I think I did get Sweden and the U.S.
Yeah.
But it's surprising to see Czechia make it too.
Yeah. No, it was cool to see. Obviously go USA. Ryan Leonard, who was, what was it, when he blew a kiss to the fans after he scored on them. I actually have his signature right here on the Zin can from the draft. I guess you can see it. I think it's this one here. I have a video, maybe I can plug it in there. But it was cool to see the Americans win. Will Smith, Sharks future legend. Good to see him have some success there. We'll see what he does in the future. But first off, I want to ask, how was it being an away fan at a game? Because you were a Calgary fan in Anaheim. How was that?
Yeah, so honestly, first time being a diehard Flames fan throughout my whole life, being an away fan. The thing about Anaheim is it's not the biggest hockey town. I feel like it's almost kind of like a vibe like Boise, where people, will go to the games as something to do, but there's no diehard hockey fan. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is in Anaheim, and they're out there, but I'd say, majority or half the fans there weren't really, the most diehard fans. or season ticket holders or anything like that. So I didn't really get chirped too much. I did get a taste of how Californians act to some people. I saw some Flames fans outside of the arena, and I was like, "Yo, go Flames!"
Yeah,
and they just gave me the cold shoulder, didn't say anything to me, and I was like, "Oh my god, it was fucking ridiculous, dude." There's surprisingly a lot of Flames fans there though, so it was cool. It was a cool experience. So I mean, you're kind of the bad guy. The fucking Ducks didn't even score a goal, so didn't even get to hear the goal horn, which kind of sucked. But yeah, it was a good game, and it was the game I saw was the game fucking Leo Carlsson got hurt, and that was a really gnarly injury. So the stadium went silent when that happened. But no, it was cool. I almost a couple years ago I almost went to an Edmonton Calgary game, Battle of Alberta in Edmonton. Ooh, that would have been fucking electric. Yeah. Because I've seen a Battle of Alberta in Calgary, and it's a rivalry for sure. People are talking shit and stuff, even Canadians. So, but yeah, no, it was pretty damn cool. I definitely will remember Anaheim and going to that game for a long time. But I think that's like 5 out of 30 rinks I've been to in the league. So, we're crossing them off the list. We're gonna get some more and soon. So yeah, no, we gotta, you and I with this podcast, hopefully we can reach to a point where we've gone to all, how many are there? 30? Are there 32? Because no one shares any arenas, right? Yeah, all 32. Maybe there'll be 34 at that point, or 33. That'd be sweet. I think that'd be cool. But yeah, let's get into this segment we started calling Coast to Coast. Basically what we're going to do is just talk about the news that, especially for us, since we haven't been on here for a couple of weeks, almost a month, where we've been talking like fresh hockey news. We've got some crazy stuff that's happened within the last couple of weeks. First one, Cutter Gautier. Now, for anyone that doesn't know the situation, I'll briefly explain it. But right after the World Juniors ended a couple weeks ago, he got traded to the Anaheim Ducks from the Flyers. Flyers got what's his name? Jamie Drysdale, and then a second rounder, I think, too. Like some good, it's a good return for Philadelphia, and not that Cutter Gautier isn't worth that, but basically he had said that he requested a trade, and then right after that, Philly was kind of pissed off about it. That he was even suggesting that as a 19-year-old kid who's never even played in the league. I'd heard reports that he might have been upset that he didn't get called up this year and was still stuck playing at college. Interesting. If that's true or not, I don't know. Then it came out that apparently one of the reporters for the Flyers had come out and said that Kevin Hayes, who was a former Flyer, had suggested to the kid to get out of Philly. And then Philadelphia had a whole list of things to say to Kevin Hayes, some really messed up stuff about his brother too. Holy shit. Yeah, but they dispelled the rumors pretty quickly. Philadelphia did. I think Torts had said something in an interview like, who's the guy that broke that Kevin Hayes had anything to do with it? And the guy like raised his hand and was like, it was me. And Torts was like, you are a shithead, basically. Dude, Torts is a fucking legend. I can't believe. Yeah. I mean, no sweat to Cutter, but like, holy shit, I can't believe what he said about him. He's like, I don't know the difference between a hole in the wall and this guy. Like, dude, some of the Flyers reporters, Torts, fucking GMs, like, and let alone fans, went in on this guy. Yeah. Like, holy shit. I truly wonder if we'll ever figure out why he did that, because that is kind of a bold thing to do. I think it's very, I mean, he was already drafted, so that was one thing. But I think it was very bold because, one, he was like really stoked to be playing for the Flyers when he got drafted. And then like, holy shit, how much of a difference 1 year takes. But it really reminds me of fucking Caleb Williams. Like, people are saying the same shit about Caleb Williams, like saying, he has no right to be saying that stuff. He hasn't even played a game in the NFL, which NHL and NFL are completely different, especially when it comes to draft prospects. but I mean, Gautier he's high up prospect. I want to say he's top 10.
He was top 10 for sure. I think he was like 7 or I don't know exactly, but yeah, I don't know. The whole situation's it's kind of crazy, and it's so back and forth because I get as an organization to be pissed off at a kid who hasn't even played a game yet, and he's asking for a trade. But I also see Cutter's side of it and being, this is where you're going to end, or you're going to start your career, and you don't want, like, it's a very precious time that he's in right now where he's young, he's got to develop. And if he doesn't feel like he's developing enough, you kind of got to get out of there. So
yeah, 100%. And I mean, I think, some of the management within the organization, maybe it's the coach. There's a lot of aspects that go into the Flyers organization why people maybe wouldn't want to play there right now. Mm-hmm. But like, damn, I'm still kind of in shock. It's not the first time it's happened. He is a college prospect. I want to say he plays for Boston
BU?
College.
BC, I think he's BU. I don't know.
Yeah, well, one of the Boston colleges.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, players have done that in the past. Adam Fox was drafted 2nd round by the Flames, and he fucking did the same thing to the Flames.
Oh,
so
really?
like, yeah. So like this shit happens, and every time he comes back to Calgary, he gets booed. But this is Calgary, Alberta, in Canada. Yeah. Think about how fucking Philadelphia fans are gonna.
Philadelphia fans are ruthless.
It's gonna be bad when he comes back. Like,
oh yeah,
the fact that this kid's fucking 19 years old, and he was getting death threats, and it was like fucking, I don't know if it's just this year, but there's so much drama in the NHL this year. Yeah, I mean,
it's because we started a podcast, so they gotta live up for us.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I still can't believe the way Philly fans treated him, and that kind of like always gives me the question, like, do you think Philly fans are the worst in the league?
I don't know. I feel like Boston's pretty tough to play in too. I think Toronto's tough to play in. I think Philadelphia as a whole. I think Boston's up there though.
I'd say Toronto in the league, but I'd say Philadelphia fans might take the cake for all sports around.
All sports, definitely. I think with the Sixers, the Eagles, that is probably the toughest place to play. I think Boston's up there though too, because I know the Bruins, it's tough for them if they're on a losing streak. The Patriots, Mac Jones probably can't show his face around Boston. Celtics, same thing. I think Philly's definitely top 4 or 5 at least in worst places to play in the NHL.
Yeah, I'd say it goes Toronto. Yeah, 1 Toronto for sure, and then I'd say 2 Philly, 3 Boston. I think Philly's worse than Boston because Boston wins a lot more in others. Yeah, Boston wins a lot more, one in hockey, but in other sports too, to like kind of balance it out. But like, dude, Philly's got the Eagles. They've won recently, but shit, man, that's fucking.
They just got first round exited.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I know. Recently, but I mean, they won. I think in 2018, 2019, but I think that was like the most recent. Any of those teams had won. Yeah. I mean, the Flyers haven't won since the fucking, I want to say it's
70s.
70s or
75.
80s.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the same year that remember when I did that history thing about the Flyers? That was the year that they had won back-to-back. So it was like 75, 26. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Philly, I think it all depends on how successful you are and how good you're doing, because like I said, with Boston, if you're doing bad, it's probably a pretty bad place to play. But if you're winning, I think if you're winning in Philly, it'd be a great city to play in. But geez, the Flyers have not had that much success. I mean, they played against the Blackhawks in 2014, went to the finals, but they haven't done anything.
2011.
Oh,
they had fucking Ray Emery, which he's like 50 something years old now. Like, holy fuck. I mean, that was a while ago when the Flyers had that good of success. And dude, I just remember like the Battle of Pennsylvania, like Flyers, Pens, I'd say that's like top 3 rivalries in the league for me. Like, fucking love that rivalry, dude.
Yeah. No, that's a great rivalry. But yeah, I think overall, I think Philly, I'm going to put it 3. Just because if you suck in Boston, I think it's worse for you than Philly. But I think overall, Philly's number 1 for worst city to just in any sport, just because they haven't had that much success. But next topic here, we got someone we haven't touched on a whole lot recently, which I feel like we should have, is Connor Bedard. I know that he just got injured recently. If you're living in a rock under a rock, Bedard got hurt. He broke his jaw on a play that was pretty soft, I feel like, in terms of the hit. Like, it really wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
I think it was just kind of like one of those things where he fell into the guy's shoulder. It's not like he laid him out or anything. But he did go down. I did see, though, the other day that he's practicing again.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did kind of get rocked on that hit. Like, it wasn't the softest play, but I mean, he had his head down on the ice and just got fucking lit up. But yeah, dude, he's out. Yeah, he is practicing, which is a good sign. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, shit, as a fucking 18, if you're under 20 years old and you're a franchise player, like, you don't want to rush him to get back in, because like he could seriously fuck his jaw up. Because I think he broke his jaw, which is like that's pretty fucking serious injury to get, and definitely takes some time to recover from. I saw a lot of people calling him soft. I'm like, dude, he probably can't eat. Like, this is a pretty serious injury. If it was the playoffs, it's a different story. But when you're one of the worst teams in the league, I think maybe the worst team in the league, sorry, not no offense to the Sharks, second worst team.
I'll wear that.
You don't want to rush your player, but that opens up the conversation. He was obviously the number 1 like favorite for the Calder Trophy, but now it's kind of up in the air, because it's like who is going to win this thing. And my personal favorite out of all of these, which is kind of a dark horse, is Connor Zary. He has the most points per game out of any rookie. And I know I'm biased picking a Calgary Flames player, but he has been lighting it up. He's got 22 points in 33 games. He's got less games than all the other rookies. So, like, if he continues to score at the pace he's at, he could potentially have the most points in the whole league for rookies, which is like pretty astonishing, given that he is, I want to say he's 22 years old. So he's a little bit older than all these other rookies. Yeah. But, I think Fantilli has a really good chance now. I also think, like, Luke Hughes has a pretty good chance to slide in, and Brock Faber. But, out of anyone, I'd say, dude, Zary is going to be my dark horse. And then second, I'd probably say Fantilli would probably be the next up to kind of surpass Bedard. But it's going to be hard for Bedard to win that Calder now, just because, 6 to 8 weeks, that's like...
Yeah.
It's a lot of games,
It is. I just think, so right now, I'm looking at the offensive leaders right now for rookies. He's got 33. He's missed, a week and a half now?
Yeah.
Second place is Fantilli at 25. So I think it is going to be tough to him to climb back. But the league and the vote, I'm sure the committee who selects it, I'm sure Gary Bettman's going to be very biased in wanting their prized possession to be getting that award. So if he comes back and he's lighting up the league again, he really was. He was at least a point per game, which I think is tough, to do on the Blackhawks and also as a rookie. I just think, I don't know. So I like that dark horse pick. Maybe we throw a little bit of money on that, because I don't know what his odds are right now, but it's probably pretty good. If you throw $5 on there, who knows what that'll be. But
he I'm curious if they got odds anywhere.
Yeah, see if you can find that. But I would give if Bedard is hurt for too long, he's out for 2 months and misses a lot, I'm going to say Luke Hughes is going to take that. I think Fantilli isn't a bad pick, but I just think Luke Hughes, I would like to see him win it. Just because of who he is, his brothers. I think it'd be cool to have him win that trophy. Another thing I do feel bad for Bedard about is the fact that he's going to miss All-Star weekend. At least I think. I feel like he would. If he's out 6 to 8 weeks, like they're saying, that's right after the break. But I don't know that he's going to be able to make it, which really sucks because he got voted in, and we'll talk more about the All-Star later. But, he got put in there as a rookie, and he got voted the only one out of the Blackhawks, which, again, isn't that hard. But, yeah, I feel for him. I mean, that's tough to be that young and kind of get lit up on a play that is your fault a bit, having your head down like that. You can't do that in the National League. But yeah.
He is still the favorite. Bedard is. So just search up. He's at -150. Contenders there is at +2,500. So that's a fucking crazy pick for me. But hey, a lot of things happened in the second half of the season, and I'm predicting Zary is going to get hot. He's been hot throughout the whole season. So I think he's going to continue that, and he's going to sneak into the rankings. Everyone watch. I know he's not been cracking the NHL rankings on their social media and stuff, but the comments section has been like, where the fuck's Zary at?
Yeah.
He's been having a hell of a season. He's got 22 points in 33 games. So he's second, I think, in points per game behind Bedard. Okay. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But just going on to the next topic, we can kind of just go over this real quick.
Yeah.
But Blue Jackets, the Columbus Blue Jackets are having such a shitty season, and I think it was very, very underwhelming for them because I think they were kind of a bubble team, if anything, and had some of their players have playoff experience. But I mean, oh my goodness, like their goalie requested a trade this week, which is like out of the blue. Yeah. Their starting goalie, and he was kind of like their goalie for the foreseeable future. They have the second worst goals against in the whole league, which is also not good. So might have to do with the goalie a little bit. So a shakeup might be good. But also Johnny Hockey, their prize possession player, has 28 points in 44 games. That's not the production they're look for him. I know that he's kind of on the upswing, but man, the Columbus Blue Jackets have been a nightmare this whole season. That's something that has been kind of shined on this past week because Merzlikins has got a trade request.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think, let's see, last year, they got this third pick, but I think that I thought at least last year they just kind of had a bit of a fluke season, but they're not looking like they're going to do any better this year. Maybe a little bit better, but I don't see them jumping or even making playoffs at all, which is really sad. I like Johnny Gaudreau. I know you do as a Flames fan. He was one of my favorite American players, especially when he was on the Flames. Just he's a good player, and it's kind of sad to see that he's doing this. And maybe for you as a Flames fan, that you're kind of like, well, this is what happens. You left a team that was bad.
A little bit, but deep down, I love Johnny Hockey. He's deep down. He's the homie dude, and I hope the best for him. But also, he should just come back to Calgary. That's where he's good. So
yeah, that's true. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's get into this All-Star stuff. We got some news over the weekend about just various All-Star news, just in the sense we got jerseys dropped. We got the teams, or at least not the teams, but the roster of players that were put in. It looks like, okay, I kind of want to touch on this. The way they did the All-Star selection this year was a little weird because I know that they want to get a player from each team to the All-Star game, but as a Sharks fan, I like to see that Tomas Hertl is an All-Star, but at the same time, I'm like, we don't need an All-Star. Like, not every team needs it. I get it for the sense they want people to come and watch the game like a Sharks fan, but honestly, I'd rather see multiple players from different teams that should have been in it. Like, look at like Edmonton, for example. Leon Draisaitl had to be voted in because McDavid was number one. And then also someone like Evan Bouchard doesn't get in because they're all gonna vote for Leon. And I mean, we saw how many, 3 other Maple Leafs, which I get it. It's in Toronto this year, so they're going to have a lot of stars like the Panthers did last year. Canucks had 4 of them, which they're a great team this year, so kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I feel like it's leaving out some of these players that deserve it because you're trying to get a player from the Sharks and some of these teams that just don't really deserve to have an all-star.
Yeah, no offense to Columbus, but Boone Jenner getting the all-star pick is pretty wild.
I don't know. I want to see an actual all-star game. The all-star game is such a good way to get fans to watch. And if you try to just cater to everyone, it's going to piss off some of the people that, or not piss off, but maybe drive away. It's not going to be as good as it can be. That's a better way of saying it.
It's not the best of the best. It's kind of, it's almost like a participation trophy type.
Yeah. Like, oh, you're on the Sharks. You have the most points. Here you go, Tomas Hertl. He's a great player. I'm not doubting him at all, but I also don't think he is necessarily an all-star this year. I think there's other people. But what did you have here? You said better or worse than last year's. What do you think?
Are you saying their jerseys or?
Oh yeah, let's touch on that first.
Yeah. I was talking about their jerseys.
Sorry, I skipped ahead.
No, you're good.
The jerseys this year, if you guys haven't seen them, I can pull them up. But the jerseys this year, what do you think of them?
I think they're cool. I kind of like the reveal they did. I thought it was a little like NHL probably put too much money towards the marketing. I feel like they could have done that with some players in the NHL for way less money, and it probably would have got well received. It's always interesting for me to see like non-hockey players release these jerseys, but it was in Toronto, so of course Bieber's going to be doing that. But out of all of these, I like the white ones the most. I think they look the freshest. And then I'd probably say my least favorite is the red ones. The red ones look like it's for like Team China or something. Like it's weird. It weirds me out just in terms of the colors and stuff. It's like communist colors, dude. Like it's like the Chinese flag in a way.
Yeah.
But like one thing that I'm a little curious about, and I'm a little uneducated on this, but I know they're doing the draft this year. Are those for each division?
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do that. I feel like they're going to have 4 captains because I think they're going to stick with the 3-on-3 style, which I do like. I think it's a little bit more exciting. But I think they're going to have 4 captains and then pick like that, if I had to guess. As for the jerseys, I think I like them. I like the blue one the most, honestly. That one's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think last year's were pretty awesome. It's tough to beat what they did last year.
Yeah, it's so hard to beat last year's. Last year's are so fucking sick, dude. And I wish I got one of those jerseys because I want to say they're going for a lot of money nowadays because they don't make them anymore, and they're pretty sick. Dude, I'm so stoked for the draft too.
Yeah, I got my brother a Cale Makar one, off DHgate, but I got him a Cale Makar one. It looks legit. That one's pretty cool. I don't think Makar played because he was injured in the All-Star game, but he loves Cale Makar. It's his favorite player. So, but yeah, I think those jerseys, they're pretty good. It's tough to beat last year's, but I think they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I'd give it like a 7.5 out of 10. They did a pretty good job, but I think the rosters, overall, the rosters are debatable, but they're still the best players in the league, and on the rosters, and the draft is going to be really cool. So I'm really excited for that.
I'm excited for that too. I hope they give away a car to the person that's picked last again, like Phil Kessel got.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. We'll see what they do, but I think also with All-Star games, there's always going to be 2 or 3 players that everyone thinks is going to be snubbed. I think there was more this year because of what they did.
Yeah, 100%.
But no one's ever going to agree on the All-Star roster on who made it and who didn't. someone always gets snubbed every year. So I get that part of it. But yeah, I think for better or worse, were you talking about the rosters, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of both.
Yeah, I would say they're worse than last year's.
Yeah, I'd say they're worse, but they're still pretty sick.
Yeah. Obviously, every player that made the All-Star game is a great player. They're in the NHL. I'm not, so clearly. But yeah, I think with Bieber, how they marketed that, I mean, it's in Toronto. He's a Maple Leafs fan. At least I think. Yeah, because he always hangs out with like Austin Matthews, and he was hanging out with Joe Thornton at one point, and I was like, dude, hey, Joe Thornton.
It would have been more sick if it was Drake.
Yeah, because he's been trying to do that. Would have been an honestly good one. I remember he said something over the offseason, like at NHL messaged me, and I think they did end up doing something together. They did like the OVO lab with some of the teams, which is cool. But yeah, I think if they were able to get Drake, that would be cool too. But yeah, I think okay, one last thing I put on here before we move on to our small thing here. We're going to talk about the All-Star game is the draft upcoming 2024. It's in Vegas this year. But we talked about this before we started recording, and I wanted to talk about it on here. But they've talked about not doing another in-person draft again after this year, which I think I understand on a team's point of view where it's expensive to send out their like team members to go out and their scouts, all that stuff. I get it, it's expensive, but for the kids that are getting drafted, that's a huge night. And I don't know. I mean, I think it's probably cool for them maybe to be at home and be doing it like they did over COVID. But
and
man,
the fans too.
The fans too. Yeah, like us. Being able
you went to one last year and it was fucking sick.
And it was awesome. And it's not gonna be able to happen again after this year. At least that's what the speculation is, or that they've talked about. But it's going to be at the Sphere this year in Vegas, the new ball thing that you can see from space or something, which is cool, and I'm excited for that. But I don't know. I wish that they would keep doing that because I think it's a cool experience for the players, the kids getting drafted. It's their draft night. It's a huge night for them.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it's kind of special for them. So.
I also think we're gonna make it down there too.
I do too.
I think it's
we're gonna do it.
I think we're gonna for our listeners out there, we're gonna really try to get our asses down there and be at the last in person, possibly the last in person draft.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry if I tease that a little too much, but I'm saying we're gonna try our hardest.
Yeah, I was thinking about teasing it, and I was, you know what, let's do it. Me and Galli have talked. And we want to try to make it down there. It's in Vegas. It's only a couple $100 flight for us from Boise. So why not? It's not that far away. I mean, if it was in Boston, it'd be a different story, but why not try to get some content? Maybe we could do we got to practice our on the street stuff though, before we can't do our first one there. So we're going to have to do that, but so we'll announce that if we're for sure going to be doing that, but we're going to try to get out there and get some content, have a time of our lives, stuff like that. But
it's gonna be a kick-ass time.
Back on the All-Star game, we're going to do a little kind of game here. We're each going to give something that we want to see in the skills competition, because I think this is another part of the All-Star game that they could probably beef up a little bit more. I think it's a fun NBA. I think at least used to do it really well with like the slam dunk competition, all that stuff. I think now it's kind of not as cool. But I think it's a important part of the All-Star weekend that you need to capitalize on. So a skills comp that I think should be added to the All-Star skills competition. It's going to be the most creative Michigan. Now, if anyone that doesn't know, you better know what a Michigan is. But if anyone's seen it, the ECHL just had their All-Star game or All-Star weekend this last weekend. And there were a couple Michigans that they pulled out. And some of them were pretty creative. And we've seen stuff with like Pavel Barber and all those guys do these like wacky Michigans, which, I mean, I think is cool for them, but I want to see an NHL player do it. And yeah, I think the most creative Michigan, however they can do it, it's not like a shootout rule where they have to come from center ice and they can't move the puck back. They can go wherever they want to go on the ice and come up. They can start from the other red line and have the puck on their stick and be waving around whatever they're doing. But yeah, I think I'd like to see that.
Yeah, Zegras is definitely winning that.
Oh yeah, he would win that.
Or Svechnikov, one of the two. Yeah. No, that was solid. I mean, yeah, the ECHL has an interesting format too. It's like their all-stars play the hosting team.
Okay. I saw that. I was like, what are they doing? But that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, it is kind of cool. And no, I know there was some crazy breakaways. I didn't watch the game fully, but
no, I didn't either.
Yeah, some crazy breakaways. And my buddy Cam McGuire, who's the radio host for for the Steelheads, he was over there calling the game. So
yeah,
shout out Cam. Awesome. But yeah, my skills competition that I would add back in is the shootout elimination, or the elimination shootout. And last time they did this was in 2012. I think Stamkos was the winner. But that's kind of like, I'm sure a lot of hockey players have done this in practice. It's kind of, if you score, you're still in. If you don't score, you're out. So it kind of narrows it down to players trying rather than just doing like kind of showboat stuff, which the shootout competition has kind of gotten to. Yeah. But I think if they do a cash prize too, players will actually like try, and like goalies will also try too. I think there's got to be a there could even be a prize, incentive for the goalies too. Depending, like, say if they get 35 saves or something, I don't know if that number is right, but a certain amount for that. But I think if they start throwing cash towards these prizes, players will kind of go at them a little bit more.
I do too. I think they kind of just take it as a, from what I've seen at least, a lot of these players kind of take it as a time for vacation. If you get selected as an all-star, that's awesome. You get to go to wherever that is, and it's a little mini vacation mid-season. Good little break too. But yeah, I think NHL, if you're listening to this, just put a little bit more effort into the all-star game. Make those players try just a little bit more than they do. And it's good for the fans. That's what the all-star game is. It's for the players, but it's mainly for the fans. That's what the whole sport is, really. It's for people like us.
100%.
But yeah, moving on. We are at the halfway point in the NHL season. Now, Galli and I have done this at the quarter point of the season. We did some predictions, and at the beginning of the season. We're going to look back at our beginning of the season predictions just for the top of the divisions, and then kind of analyze that, and then give some new ones with the updated times and how the season's gone. But to start off, in the Atlantic. Oh, yeah, I didn't even see that. Okay. In the Atlantic, we both said Toronto. Now, if we look at it, Toronto in the Atlantic is sitting third, 50 points. They're 11 points behind number one Boston Bruins. So we didn't get that insanely correct. We also thought that Boston was not going to do what they're doing right now. Pretty much tied for second for most points in the league. And then in the Metro, Galli said the Devils. I had said the Hurricanes. And if we look at the Metro, the Devils are seventh right now, 47 points. And, well, they're only 11 points behind the Rangers, who are first in the Metro. And my Hurricanes are at 53 points and only 5 points behind the Rangers in the Metro. So not horrible, but definitely not our best either. The Central.
Just to slow it down, though, talking about the Eastern Conference a little bit. Toronto, I don't really think they're going to catch up to Boston.
I don't either.
There's a chance they have a very good second half of their season, but holy shit, they've just had some struggles goaltending that are very difficult, that the media is blowing up too.
Yeah.
Your Carolina pick probably has a good chance. still.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Devils are going to have a screamer of a second half of their season. So I think that one's going to be really difficult in such a tight division. Holy shit. I mean, 11 points between first and seventh is like crazy.
That's crazy.
We've been talking about that for basically the whole fucking season. The Eastern Conference is so tight still. I mean, even Tampa Bay is, not too far behind third place. I mean, they're literally 1 point behind Toronto. And they're in fifth. So both those divisions are so fucking tight. But yeah, we can go into the Western unless you got something else to say.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I think for the Devils, they got hit pretty hard with an injury bug. Nico Hischier has been out he was out in the beginning here and there, and then Hughes got hurt for a bit too. So I think for them, it's kind of just a rough season for them. Hopefully, maybe that, again, it's not exactly like, I've heard a lot of players say that after the All-Star break is when the season starts. So we'll see. I think we could see some shifting and changing by the even 3/4 point of the season. We'll see where that's at. But moving on to the West, out here where we are at, kind of in the Central, Galli had said that the Stars would be leading the Central. Right now, they're at 55 points, and it's not a bad pick. But I picked the Avalanche. They're currently leading right now with 61 points, only 1 point ahead of the Winnipeg Jets, though. Both pretty solid picks. I think the Central is pretty mid after the Stars. I mean, Nashville's 49 points at fourth. So between 3 and 4, there's a 6-point gap. And then 3 and 1, there's a 6-point gap. So after the Stars, I think it's a pretty rough division. And I think with the Pacific too. But I think Winnipeg is kind of a shocker. I know we haven't really talked about them a whole lot. We did a couple weeks ago, actually. We did talk about the Jets, but kind of shocked. I thought it was going to be Avs and Stars just battling out for first, but Winnipeg has had a pretty good last 10. They're 8-1-1 right now. So they've been interesting. Interesting team to watch.
Yeah, I do think Nashville is going to be sneaky, and if they do make the playoffs, I mean they've been somewhat impressive this season, but and they are in a playoff spot right now. So I definitely think Nashville's definitely got a little left in the gas tank for the rest of the season. It's gonna be interesting to see how they do in the second half of the season. As well as even Winnipeg too. I do see Kyle Connor came back tonight too, which is huge for the Jets. I remember I predicted that the Jets were going to fall off after him, and I was obviously wrong about that. I think they might have fucking got stronger without him. So the Jets are looking pretty damn good. I mean, sitting at 29-10-4, that's a solid record at the midway point. I mean, that's projected over 50 wins in the season, which is excellent. And the Jets usually are pretty good in the regular season. It's just when they come to the playoffs, they get screwed. So they're going to need their fans to show up to the arena, which supposedly they haven't been this season.
I think, I don't know. I mean, they got not screwed, but I mean, they played the Knights first round last year. So unfortunately, obviously they went on to win the Stanley Cup. So it's kind of unfortunate that you get that matchup. I think for Nashville, last thing I'll say before we move on, but thinking about it now, they do have some pretty good experience on their team in terms of playoffs. They had a deep run back in 2017. They've got an older team. Philip Forsberg, I think, is 28 or 29. But then we got like Roman Josi and Ryan O'Reilly, who was a Conn Smythe winner. And their goalie, UC Saros, is a great goalie as well. So I don't know. We could see maybe. I mean, we saw what Florida did last year with a team that kind of snuck into the playoffs and went all the way to the Eastern Conference Final. Now, I don't think that they're the same exact team. I think Florida's a little bit better, but who knows? It's playoff hockey.
Yeah.
The Preds could sneak into that wild card spot and shock the entire league. So we'll see. But the Pacific is the one league that we were not expecting this at all. Galli, I love your heart here, picking the Calgary Flames to win the Pacific. Diehard fan. I love it. I picked the Knights. But as you guys know, the Canucks have been lighting up the Pacific and just the NHL in general. I think it's interesting that they've been doing this hot. We kind of talked about it in the beginning of the season too. I know you did, especially just about how they kind of need to do something. They've been very mediocre, and they've kind of figured it out. And maybe giving Quinn that captaincy just really helps spark the team. I don't know. But they're doing great. They're 7 points ahead of this defending Stanley Cup champions in the Knights. So they have a pretty comfortable lead in the Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
The Flames are
they're way back. They're about fucking they're 17 points back from first place. So they got a ways to go. Same with the Oilers though. The Oilers got 15 points. So yeah, you do never know. The Flames are gonna have to have a really solid second half of their season.
Let's see, 47. Okay, so I mean, this would be kind of crazy if Edmonton didn't make it, but I mean that 3rd through 6th is all broken up by 5 points.
Yeah.
So it's not crazy that the Flames could sneak into a playoff spot. That would mean.
Will they win the division though? No, probably not. That was a hard pick. That was a pick straight from the heart. So
because if you were right, then you could be like, "Told you guys." But yeah, at the halfway point, I think. What's your most shocking team that you've seen this year?
Oh, most shocking team. I'd probably say. I'm going to either say the Jets or the Flyers, but out of those two teams, I'd say the Jets. Like, they are first in the league right now, tied for first. And that's, I don't think anyone saw that coming. Hellluck is playing fucking so good. Their forwards are clicking. So, the Jets are pretty unbelievable with how they're doing this year, and they're shocking a lot of people. They got a good core there, and it's pretty impressive. But what would you say?
Okay, I've been going back and forth because I just thought of that question. I would say either the Oilers sucking this bad, at least in the beginning of the season. That was a shock for me. And also the Rangers. I don't know. I didn't think that they were going to be bottom of the barrel. I definitely thought the Flyers were. That's another good one, I would say. I'm going to go with Edmonton, though, because I know they've had this goaltending struggle for a while. Yeah, I'm surprised that the Oilers are as bad as they were this year. So
100%.
But any closing thoughts before we wrap up tonight's episode?
No, not really. I know the Flames are playing right now. They're down 2-1 to the Coyotes in the third period. So I'm going to hop off and watch the rest of that game. Yeah. Hopefully they can come back and tie it up. Leaving remarks, go Flames. Pray for snow too. Fucking for all the skiers and snowboarders out there. Not the best driving conditions, but hey, that's some good pow to shred up on the mountain. So I'm always praying for snow. And I don't really have too much. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate anyone that's listening, and any new listeners, really appreciate it. We're still getting better and better each podcast. So just want to say, genuine thank you. If I ever see you, get you a beer. Just let me know that you're a listener. Yeah.
Honestly, if you guys ever see us, you listen to this point, we want to thank you. Thank anyone that's listening past really the 5-minute mark. But if you're here at this point at the end of the show, we just want to thank you for being a loyal listener. Again, reminder to just follow us on whatever platform you stream this on, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. Give us a follow. Let us know. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a rating. Let us know. It helps us out to know that we're doing a good job. If we're doing bad, let us know so we can fix it. But everyone, thank you for listening. This has been episode number 14. We're about to hit number 15 next episode, which is kind of crazy. We got some hockey ahead of us. I think the season's just kind of starting, honestly. And we'll see after the All-Star break, and I'm excited for April. I really am. I don't want it to be here yet, but I'm excited for playoffs because I think this season's going to be crazier than last year.
Dude, I'm so fucking pumped. Like the playoffs is, I mean, the league is wide open right now. There's not really a team that's like, and there's no, I wouldn't say there's necessarily like a Bruins team like there was last year right now.
Yeah.
So, it's gonna be interesting. And there's a lot of teams that have looked good in the regular season, but they're gonna get out first round. So, it's gonna be an interesting April to say the least.
I agree. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening once again. If you guys aren't, go follow us on everything, and we will see you next week, and we'll be back for another episode.